Hello and welcome to Better Business Podcast. My name is Alexei and I'm the host. And today I want to talk about enhancing your sales and marketing. In fact, I wanted to start a whole new series of podcasts within my podcast to address this, because quite a lot of people ask me, give us some tips on, some little things that could potentially make a big difference within our sales process, within our marketing. And I think while it's a big topic, it's worthwhile addressing some of those aspects one by one. So I guess the one specific thing I want to talk about today is a tool that I use, which has been an absolute game changer that allowed us to win more customers than anything else, is a tool called PandaDocs. Now, this is a tool that allows us to write better proposals. It's something that makes them far more superior than what any of our competitors do. And I also get quite a lot of our customers to use this particular tool because, especially when you work with the trades, you do end up with often one of those one-page proposals that looks fairly flat and really unprofessional, to say the least. You don't know too much about the business, but this one thing only really shows you the price. And this is why a lot of the time customers do end up focusing so much on the price, because they don't know anything else. And I see this across the roofing, I see this across fencing, and anything that's typically a high-ticket item. So let's talk about PandaDocs and I guess some of the fundamental things behind PandaDocs and how the whole thing basically works. What I like to focus on is, I guess, the whole structure of your website, if you've got one, and I guess the things that really stand out, because essentially PandaDocs does take the elements from your website and put them into your proposal in the format to support what you're actually selling. So first of all, you want to make sure that the whole thing is easy to read. You don't want War and Peace, but you do want something that's quite personal. And if you use PandaDocs, it actually is quite easy because there's, any template actually starts with a bit of a cover page, which, says, hi, Alexei, and there is a bit of a outline as to what it is that you're quoting on as a business. It is quite easy to navigate. And if you've got a website, keeping it clean and easy to navigate is very easy to read as well. Which is one of the key objectives. But I do like the whole fact that the PandaDocs tool uses tokens to personalize the entire experience. So if you put in the company name or the address, phone number, person's name, and so on, you can have tokens throughout the document to basically fill that in. So essentially, you end up with a proposal on multiple pages where everything's personalized specifically to each customer. And once you define your template, it's actually quite easy to use. Furthermore, the whole thing is really quite easy to view on mobile and desktop, and everything's trackable. In fact, what I particularly like is if you send out one of those proposals to one of your customers, you get a report to see exactly where those customers or prospects at that point have stopped and what they looked at and how much time they spent as well. So you've got some really good inside info in order to make some decisions as to what interests the most. And I guess this is where it's worthwhile talking about what are the things that you would actually be adding to your proposal besides obviously the price and the outline of the service. What is it that's something that could potentially be adding value to your proposal? What would be making it more superior? So I find that one of the biggest things that makes a big difference is a section called Why Choose Us. Now, if you have that section on your website, great. Typically, if you don't, you'll be wanting to add things like, your experience. How long have you been doing this? Are you a family business? What's so different about your experience? You've been working in a particular field, you niche in something or specialize. The other thing I would definitely mention is things like licenses. Are you licensed in a certain way? Are you associated with a particular brand of product? Because this is something that creates specialty as well. People like that. Another big thing is insurance. Under Why Choose Us, adding your insurance and what you're insured for gives people a peace of mind that they get a safe transaction working with you as well. One thing that a lot of people don't have on their websites, and Why Choose Us would definitely benefit from that, would be guarantees. If you've got a guarantee, whether it's a customer satisfaction guarantee, money back guarantee, or anything like that, that would definitely make a big difference, because people will choose you over other companies, even if they come with a much lower price based on the fact that you guarantee something versus somebody who doesn't. And lastly, I think things like support. People do want to know, what sort of after, service or support they'll be getting after they work with you. And for many people, this is actually the decision maker, especially if the product does require further maintenance or potentially support as well. In addition to that, I think adding things like case studies or testimonials to a proposal makes a big difference. And like I said before, it is something that you normally put into your website. I personally quite like testimonials. They're simple, they're easy. However, if you do want to make things a little bit more specific, having a case study works really well. On our website, we've got both. I find that if you have a case study, you can then do campaigns specifically for each industry. And then from there, you just want to make sure that there's some measurable outcomes that people can look at and potentially say, hey, this is me. This is exactly like my situation. These guys know what they're talking about. And yeah, that's something that'll make a big difference. Whether you're selling websites or if you're selling fences or if you are selling a product, at a premium price, I think having a superior proposal by a system like PandaDocs will certainly work. Now, if you want to keep enhancing that potential proposal even further, and like I said, this is the analogy with the website, consider putting the members of your team in there, because people do want to know who they're going to work with. And the fact that you've got a local team and potentially seeing their faces and roles give people a peace of mind that they are working with a legit company that's got multiple people who can support them as well. I don't know about your business, but my team often steps up to call the customers and talk to them about the specifics of their service, whether it's a website being built or whether it's a smoke alarm being delivered or something like. We do have those specifics outlined in our proposals as well. Finally, the price. Now, if you find that the price works better for you when you break it down, you do have a table for the actual investment within PandaDocs that you could break down into the actual product, the service, and everything else that's in there, or you could keep it all together. Some businesses quite prefer that. If you have a set price, I guess it doesn't leave a lot of room for the customer to bargain on or potentially try to cut you off on anything. That's there as well. And once you outline the price, I do find people, scroll down to the price quite a lot straight away. But then from there, people start looking into, why choose us and other things as well. PandaDocs has got things like electronic signatures. They've got things like, payment methods as well attached to it. So you can actually take the whole thing to another level where you can get a deposit paid once people look at your proposal. And the beauty is you can integrate it with things like Stripe, for example, where you don't actually get to see the credit card details, but the credit card data is being saved in Stripe, still allows you to take further payments as per your payment instructions. That's actually really, really cool. I find that a lot of people get blown away when they get payments overnight or the next day. And the cool thing about these proposals is that you actually get to find out when people look at your proposals. And most of the time, especially in the trades industry, people look at their proposals potentially in the evening once they sit down or over the weekend. And you may also find that proposals get visited multiple times. You get that analytical tracking data through using tools like PandaDocs. And look, there's many other tools. This is just the one that I use, but I find that the layout, the simplicity of using it, and then using templates makes things really, really simple. Now, if you do have a CRM, if you use a system like Capsule, Pipedrive, or even Salesforce, PandaDocs works very nicely with that. So you can actually tie that into the whole sales pipeline. So if a proposal is sent out, then it's actually pushed into your CRM, and you get to see the status within that CRM as well. That's obviously another level, but the functionality is there. So overall, I find that this is a complete game changer when it comes to sending out proposals. And if you do want to take a summary of all the things that I've listed in this podcast so far, it may be worthwhile to consider getting this onto your website as well, because a lot of the time we do get asked the questions like, what is it that you put on your website to make it better? Well, obviously make it simple to navigate, easy to read, make sure everything is tracked. Google Analytics is your best friend there. Make sure that you got the why choose us sections, case studies, your team, and then an indication of price. Now, while I don't recommend having price on your website, you could potentially have the actual service defined, and then for people to inquire about the price specific to it. Now, the issue with having the price on the website is that if you provide a service that's not as defined, like let's say, okay, a website, there could be some specifics in that where the price would actually be misleading to the customer if they look at that, because there's always something custom that comes with that as well. Fences, for example, as well, it's very difficult to provide a price for a fence, even by meter or so, not knowing what sort of landscape there is. If there's a retaining wall or something like that, and there was an old fence that needs to be removed, or there's an issue with the neighbor. So a lot of the times things don't really work that well. But the moral is, with the price, most of the time people want to ask you about the price because that's the only thing they know and understand. And your job is really to break it down into, I guess, all these other variables that do help people connect with you on more personal level as a person, as a business that is presented by a number of people solving a problem, as opposed to just a price that delivers a service. So really, you might want to consider the whole experience to be a little bit different. So I guess PandaDocs is just one of the tools I would recommend, and I think have a look into it. I'm going to put a description and a link within this podcast recording. But if you use something else, guys, please share. And if you find that there is something that may potentially be worth adding to the proposal or potentially removing from the proposal, I'd like to find out from you. So comment below and do share this with your friends to see if there's anybody else who may benefit from a tool like this. I think that, once you start using tools like PandaDocs, you find that you'd be thinking like, why did I not use something like this before, sooner? Because this is a complete game changer. And personally, when you are starting out as a business, you just don't know exactly how to engage and sell the customer. And I think the proposal, a powerful proposal with something like PandaDocs, allows you to build that bridge between you and the prospect. Anyway, guys, this is quite a simple concept. However, I think the outcome is going to be huge if you implement this properly. If you got any questions, please comment below or hit me up directly. I'd love to have a chat to you about it. My name is Alexei. This is Better Business Podcast. I look forward to chatting to you soon, and don't forget to subscribe.